Thanks for answering the circle question. My favorite snack was, it's all gone now, apple pie warmed up with vanilla ice cream and homemade caramel on top with a little Cool Whip. I ate a little bit too much of it, but it's all good. We ain't got nothing else to do. So our learning target for today is the same as yesterday. We're going to analyze how characters' perspectives or points of view about the New World and its people impact the development and decline of Jamestown. Now, there's a part in today's story where you're going to have to get a little bit of a refresher from what happened before. So I have the audio book here, just like we're in class. Here is the text for you to follow along with. I'm going to start right here. Actually, sorry, right here, and listen and follow along.
Now will you tell us where you've been? John Leyden asks. Did you really meet the great Powhatan? I ask. Can't a man get breakfast before he has to give an oration? Captain Smith says. Richard and I find the half-full barrel of corn and cook up a large pot of hominy. After breakfast, we keep the common cook fire going so we can warm ourselves while Captain Smith tells his story. Most of the common men come to listen. The gentlemen are, again, nowhere to be seen. Are they off sulking like scolded dogs, I wonder? Or hatching a new plan? But once Captain Smith begins his story, I don't give the gentleman another thought. 200 savages came upon me, he says. They captured me and took me prisoner. They paraded me from one village to another, and at each village there were ceremonies and dancing, with dancers painted red and black like fearsome devils. And there was feasting, lots of feasting. I was sure that as soon as I was fat enough for their liking, they would kill me and eat me. I thought the Powhatans were not cannibals, I blurt out. Captain Smith shakes his head. I didn't think so, but why else were they fattening me up? He raises his eyebrows at me. Finally, I was taken to the village of Wero-Wokomoko. I was presented to Wahod-Sonokok, the great Powhatan himself. He sat on a throne covered with a large robe made of raccoon skins with the tails still on. All around him sat his court, upwards of 200 men and women, their faces and shoulders painted red and crowns of white bird feathers on their heads. They had another feast, and then 2 large stones were brought and placed in front of Chief Powhatan. Captain Smith pantomimes lifting 2 heavy stones. Suddenly 7 or 8 warriors jumped up from their seats and seized me. They dragged me over and forced my head down on one of the stones. 3 warriors stood over me with heavy clubs. They raised the clubs ready to bash my brains out.
Now, just remember, this so far is only being told from Captain Smith's point of view. This is only his side of the story.
I suck in my breath. Henry looks at me and rolls his eyes. Well, he didn't get his brains bashed out, now did he? He says. I glare at Henry and go back to listening. There was no way for me to escape. With so many men holding me down, I could not even move. Captain Smith says. I prepared to die. We are silent, waiting for the next turn in the story. Suddenly, I hear the voice of a child begging for my life to be spared. But Chief Powhatan refuses the requests. He declared, No, the Englishman will die. Then I saw who had been speaking. It was a little girl, about 9 or 10 years old. She came running over to me. She ignored the warriors with their raised clubs. She gathered my head in her arms and laid her own head down over mine. The warriors could not strike a blow now without hitting her first.
And we now know that that little girl was Pocahontas. So that story is going to be told again in the chapter that you're about to read, but from a different point of view. And here's what I want you to think about. How do the Native Americans and the settlers' perspective of their relationship differ? You might see this before. I'm sure you've seen it, where you have 2 people who, let's say they're friends, but they both view their friendship differently. One person might think they're the best friends in the whole wide world and they don't have any other friends besides themselves, whereas the other person might think that's just one of my friends and I have other people who I hang out with. It just depends on their perspective. So you're really thinking about the relationship between the Native Americans and the settlers and what they both think of their relationship. Do they think it's a good one? Do they think it's a bad one? Kind of get into those details as you're reading today.